Most people spend years nurturing a fruit tree, waiting for it to mature, babying it through disease and pests, pruning it, spraying it, and they never stop to look down at the compact, explosive producers right at their feet. Today, I'm going to show you 25 of them. Stick around because number 13 produces hundreds of fruits from a single plant in one season. Hit that subscribe button because we post new videos every week about growing more food in less space. Let's get into it. Number 1. Moringa. The tree that thinks it's a vegetable. Nearly every part of moringa is edible. The leaves, pods, flowers, and seeds. Managed as a cut-and-come-again crop, one plant produces pounds of fresh leaves every few weeks throughout the warm season. The nutritional profile is extraordinary. More protein than most vegetables, high calcium, iron, and vitamins that rival any superfood supplement on the market. In tropical climates, it grows year-round. In cooler climates, grow it as an annual or container plant. Either way, the production will surprise you. It's the plant that communities in Asia and Africa have quietly fed themselves from for centuries, while the rest of the world paid for supplements made from its leaves. Number 2. Nasturtium, the edible plant hiding in plain sight. Millions of gardeners grow nasturtiums every year as decoration without ever eating a single leaf. Every part is edible. Leaves, flowers, stems, and seed pods. The leaves are peppery and bold. The flowers are sweet and stunning in salads. The unripe seed pods pickled in vinegar are a perfect homegrown substitute for capers. Production is continuous from early summer until frost with almost zero maintenance. They actually prefer poor soils. The less you fuss over them, the better they produce. They're the food plant hiding in plain sight on every garden center shelf in the country. Number 3. Strawberries, the plant that multiplies itself. One strawberry plant produces around 3 pounds of fruit per season. But that's not the impressive part. It sends out runners that become new plants automatically. One plant becomes 5, 5 becomes 25. A strawberry patch doesn't just produce fruit. It produces fruit and more producers at the same time. You're harvesting in year 1 while your neighbor is still waiting on their fruit tree. June-bearing varieties give one big flush great for preserving. Ever-bearing varieties give you steady harvests all season long. They're the plant that pays you back and then sends its children to pay you back again. Number 4. Raspberries, the vertical yield machine. Raspberries grow up not out. Tall vertical canes packed into tight rows extract enormous yields from narrow strips of ground. Plant bare root canes in spring and you're harvesting meaningful quantities within 18 months. The 2-year cane cycle is the secret. Primo canes grow in year 1, floricanes fruit in year 2. Understand that and your patch runs itself. Grow summer-bearing and fall-bearing varieties together and your harvest window stretches from midsummer all the way to frost. It's the plant that rewards the people who took 10 minutes to understand how it works. Number 5. Swiss chard, the months-long greens producer. One planting of Swiss chard produces continuously from early summer through hard frost. 3 to 5 months of steady greens from one small bed. Harvest outer leaves, leave the center growing, and the plant keeps pushing out new growth week after week. Rainbow chard varieties make the bed beautiful while feeding you consistently. The stems are edible too. Nothing goes to waste. It's the plant that asks so little and gives so much that it's almost embarrassing how often it gets overlooked. Number 6. Blueberries, the patient reward. Blueberries require patience, 5 to 7 years to full maturity, but a mature bush produces 10 to 20 pounds of fruit per year from a shrub just 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide. That's extraordinary production per square foot. The catch is soil. They need acidic conditions, pH 4.5 to 5.5. Solve that with raised beds or amended containers, and you're rewarded for decades. Plant at least 2 varieties for cross-pollination. Early, mid, and late varieties stretch your harvest across 6 to 8 weeks of summer. They're the plant that teaches you the difference between patience and wasted time. Number 7. Sweet potatoes. The ground-covering calorie machine. Sweet potatoes produce underground, while their vines spread across the surface, suppressing weeds as they grow. One plant can yield several pounds of dense calorie-rich roots from a surprisingly small space. They thrive in warm conditions and poor soils. No heavy feeding required, just warmth, sun, and time. Harvest in fall, cure them properly, and sweet potatoes store for months, extending your homegrown food supply well past the end of the season. They're the crop that works underground while you're not watching and surprises you at harvest every single time. Number 8. Currants. The forgotten superfood hedge. Currants are among the most productive small fruit shrubs in existence, and most American gardeners have completely forgotten they exist. An established bush produces 4 to 10 pounds of fruit annually, from a footprint smaller than a patio chair. Black currants are nutritional powerhouses. The vitamin C content is significantly higher than oranges, and the flavor is intense and complex in a way that nothing from a grocery store can match. They tolerate partial shade, resist disease, and require almost no maintenance. Plant them as a productive hedge and harvest food and structure from the same space. They're the fruit that Prohibition stole from American gardens, and most people don't even know to be angry about it. Number 9. Pole beans. The vertical protein factory. Pole beans grow vertically on trellises, meaning you're farming airspace that would otherwise go unused. They fix their own nitrogen from the atmosphere, feeding the soil while they feed you. The key is continuous harvesting. Pick pole beans and more beans grow. A trellis 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide can supply a family with fresh beans multiple times a week for 3 to 4 months. Beans provide protein and fiber in a way that most fruit simply doesn't. When you're thinking about plants that genuinely feed a family, beans belong at the center of that conversation. They're the protein factory that grows straight up and never stops until the frost takes it. Number 10. Blackberries. The unstoppable producer. Blackberries are almost aggressively productive. 2 to 3 pounds per plant annually is a conservative estimate. They root wherever their cane tips touch the ground, grow in poor soils, and fruit heavily even in partial shade. Modern thornless varieties like Triple Crown and Chester have removed the main objection most people had: big, sweet berries on canes that won't shred your arms at harvest time. Plant them. Give them something to lean on and get out of their way. They're the plant that got unfairly judged for its wild cousin's behavior. If this list is already changing how you see your garden, hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach the people who are serious about growing real food. Subscribe and ring the bell. We post every week. Let's keep going. Number 11. Lemongrass. The cut and regrow clump. One clump of lemongrass planted in spring becomes a dense, productive mass by midsummer. Harvest outer stalks regularly, and the clump keeps producing all season long. In warm climates, it's a permanent fixture. In cooler climates, overwinter the roots indoors and replant each spring. Beyond the culinary value, lemongrass is a natural pest deterrent in the garden. It earns its space twice. Fresh lemongrass from the garden is a completely different experience from the dried version in a spice jar. It's the clump that keeps growing back no matter how much you cut it. Number 12. Gooseberries. High density, high reward. A well-grown gooseberry bush produces 5 to 10 pounds of fruit annually from a compact footprint. At peak production, the whole bush looks like it's been decorated for Harvest Festival. Berries hanging in clusters along every single stem. They tolerate heavy clay soils and partial shade. They're cold hardy, low maintenance, and reliably productive year after year. The flavor of a perfectly ripe gooseberry warm from the sun is something most people in this country have simply never experienced. They're the fruit that supermarkets couldn't figure out how to exploit, so they just pretended it didn't exist. Number 13. Cherry tomatoes, the hundreds of fruits plant. Here it is. A single vigorous, indeterminate cherry tomato plant properly staked and fed can produce hundreds of tomatoes over the course of one season, multiple pounds per week at peak production from roughly 2 square feet of ground. Varieties like Sungold, Black Cherry, and Sweet Million are near legendary among food gardeners for a reason. Flavor that grocery store tomatoes don't come close to, and production that simply doesn't quit. From July until frost, one plant keeps delivering. That's more fruit than most dwarf trees produce in their first 3 years. They're the hundreds of fruits machine that fits in a pot on your deck and outproduces most fruit trees in its first summer. Number 14. Honeyberries. The first fruit of spring. Honeyberries ripen before strawberries, before cherries, sometimes before any other fresh fruit in the garden. If you've ever stood in your garden in late May, hungry for something fresh and homegrown, honeyberries are the answer. The bushes are cold hardy to extreme temperatures. Some varieties survive well below -40. The fruit is deep blue-purple, with a flavor somewhere between blueberry and raspberry, with a hint of something almost floral. Plant 2 or more varieties for cross-pollination, and your bushes will reward you for decades with almost zero maintenance. They're the plant that's going to be everywhere in 10 years, and you can have it now. Number 15. Kale, the plant that never stops. A mature kale plant, harvested correctly, taking outer leaves and leaving the growing center, produces for months. In mild climates, it grows year-round. In colder climates, it survives light frost and keeps going until hard freeze takes it down. The nutritional density is extraordinary. Kale is genuinely one of the most nutrient-dense foods that can be grown in a temperate climate. The harvesting technique is everything. Leave the center growing point intact every single time, and your plants keep generating new growth continuously all season. It's the plant that refuses to quit even when the season tells it to. Number 16. Sea buckthorn, the orange gold. The berries grow so densely packed along the stems that harvesting them looks like stripping beads off a string. The branches literally bend under the weight of the fruit at peak season. 1 teaspoon of sea buckthorn juice contains more vitamin C than multiple oranges. The berries are rich in omega fatty acids, vitamins, and antioxidants used in everything from health tonics to premium skincare. Plant a male and a female. One male pollinates several females. Then step back and watch the production. It's the plant that has been a staple in Siberia and the Himalayas for centuries, while the rest of the world slept on it. Number 17. Peas. Heavy production before summer hits. Peas solve a problem most food gardeners don't think about. What do you harvest when everything else is still weeks away? Planted as early as the ground can be worked, trellised vertically, and harvested aggressively, peas give you weeks of heavy production during the hungry gap of late spring. Sugar snap peas give you the whole pod, increasing your yield per planting. Shelling peas give you high-protein starchy peas for cooking and storing. Snow peas give you tender pods for fresh eating. They stop when summer heat arrives, but by then, your other crops are taking over. They're the plant that starts producing while your fruit trees are still in blossom. Number 18, aronia, the superfood shrub hiding in suburbia. A mature aronia shrub can produce 15 to 30 pounds of berries annually. The berry clusters are so heavy, they droop the branches under their weight. And this plant grows in conditions where other fruits fail: wet soils, heavy clay, partial shade. Aronia handles all of it. The anthocyanin content is among the highest of any berry on earth. The same compound people are paying $30 a jar for in supplement powder form. The flavor is intensely astringent fresh, but cooked, juiced, or dried, it becomes something exceptional. It's the plant hiding in plain sight on suburban landscaping projects everywhere. Planted as an ornamental, rarely eaten, almost always overlooked. Number 19, dwarf peppers. Big production in small spaces. Compact. Pepper varieties produce an astonishing number of fruits from a single plant in a single container. Sweet, hot, or somewhere in between, dwarf peppers keep producing from midsummer all the way to frost without slowing down. They thrive in containers on patios and balconies where full-size plants would be impractical. One sunny spot and consistent watering is all they need. Bring the container indoors before frost, and your pepper plant can survive winter and produce again next season. They're the plant that proves you don't need a garden bed to grow serious food. Number 20, lingonberries. The secret Scandinavians have been keeping. Lingonberry shrubs are tiny, often just 6 to 12 inches tall. But pack them together as a ground cover planting and production per square foot becomes remarkable. Heavy clusters of bright red berries appear in late summer and often again in fall. They're cold hardy to extreme temperatures, evergreen through winter, and once established, they spread slowly to fill whatever space you give them with almost no help from you. In Scandinavia, lingonberry is to cooking what ketchup is in America: ubiquitous, beloved, and considered essential. In American gardens, almost no one grows them. They're the secret Scandinavians have been keeping for centuries while we weren't paying attention. Number 21, cucumbers, the explosive trellis vine. Cucumbers on a trellis are a fundamentally different proposition from cucumbers sprawling on the ground. 5 or 6 plants on a trellis, 6 feet tall, can produce dozens of cucumbers per week during peak season. The rule is the same as pole beans. Keep harvesting. A cucumber left to fully mature on the vine tells the plant to slow down. Harvest young, harvest often, and the plants keep producing with remarkable speed. A cucumber that was a small nub on Monday can be ready to pick by Thursday. They're the plant that makes you realize a trellis isn't a garden accessory. It's a multiplier. Number 22, beets. 2 crops from one plant. Beets give you a genuine 2-for-1 deal: an edible root and edible greens from the same plant. Thin your seedlings and eat the thinnings as microgreens. Harvest outer leaves through the season. Pull the roots at maturity and eat those too. Many varieties produce harvestable roots in 50 to 60 days. The roots store exceptionally well through winter, extending your homegrown food supply well past the end of the growing season. Fresh roasted beets from the garden are a completely different food from their tinned counterpart. Sweet, complex, and nothing like what gave them their reputation. They're the double harvest plant that rewards the gardeners who pay attention to what's actually on offer. Number 23, Malabar spinach, the heat season leaf factory. When your spring spinach has bolted and the summer heat has taken out your lettuce, Malabar spinach is just hitting its stride. It's a tropical vine that produces thick, glossy, edible leaves all summer long in the heat that kills real spinach. The vines reach 8 to 10 feet in a season, densely covered in harvestable leaves. One plant properly supported can supply a family with fresh greens throughout the entire summer heat season. High in vitamins A and C, calcium, and iron. This is genuine nutritional food production, not just volume. It's the plant that keeps feeding you when the summer heat has chased every other green out of the garden. Number 24, lettuce, the fastest return in the garden. Nothing else comes close to lettuce for speed of return. Cut and come again loose leaf varieties produce harvestable leaves in as little as 3 to 4 weeks from seed. Cut the outer leaves, the plant regrows. Cut again in a week or two, and again and again. A small pot of mixed cut and come again lettuce can supply daily fresh salad greens for weeks from a space the size of a cutting board. A $2 packet of loose leaf lettuce seed produces more salad greens than you could buy for $50 at the grocery store. It's the plant that proves you don't need acreage to grow serious food. Number 25, green onions and chives, the harvest that never ends. And here we are at number 25. Chives are a perennial. Plant them once and they come back every year forever. Cut them back to an inch above the ground and they regrow in a week. Cut them again and again all season long. Green onions work the same way. Harvest the tops, let the base regrow, or pull whole plants and replant the bulblets to keep the cycle going perpetually. A dedicated bed of green onions and chives planted densely and managed for continuous harvest can supply a family's onion and herb needs throughout the entire growing season from a space smaller than a coffee table. They're the harvest that never stops. From the plant that never needs replacing, season after season after season. If this video changed how you see your garden, smash that like button. It helps this channel reach the people who need this information most. Drop a comment below and tell me which plant you're adding to your garden this season. I read every single comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We post every week about growing more food in less space, spending less, and building real food security that doesn't depend on a grocery store. The knowledge is here. The seeds are available. The only thing left is you.